समुद्रस्य हिमाद्रश्चैव दक्षिणं वर्षं तद् भारतं नाम भारतीयत्र सन्तति।
Namaste. Welcome to this episode of Itihasa. This episode of Itihasa is a continuation of the last episode. In the last episode, we learnt about yoginis. Our guest in the last episode was Veena Unnikrishnan. In this episode, we will learn a little bit more about yoginis. We will learn about the wonderful paintings that Veena Unnikrishnan has done of the 64 yoginis.
जागो भैरवी आज अंतकरण में।
अदृश्या दृश्य रहिता विज्ञानी वेद्य वर्जिता योगिनी योगदा योग्या योगनंदा युगंधरा। अर्थात वो जो देखी नहीं जा सकती, वो जो चीजों को अलग तरह से देखती है, वो जो सभी विज्ञानों की ज्ञाता है, वो जिसे कुछ भी जानने की आवश्यकता नहीं है। योगिनी योग की पहचान है। सरल शब्दों में कहें तो योगिनी एक महिला योगी है। वो शारीरिक और आध्यात्मिक अनुशासन के रूप में योग के मार्ग का अनुसरण करती है। कई अन्य प्राचीन धार्मिक ग्रंथों में योगिनी शब्द का प्रयोग गौड़ देवियों को दर्शाने के लिए किया जाता है, जिन्हें या तो देवी की साथी के रूप में वर्णित किया गया है या देवी की सहायिकाओं के रूप में बताया गया है। योगिनी हमेशा 64 के समूहों में प्रकट होती हैं। हर योगिनी का एक विशिष्ट चरित्र, एक अलग स्वरूप है। मुख्यतः इनका संबंध अष्टमात्रिकाओं से है। देवी महात्म्य के अनुसार इन 8 देवियों ने शुंभ निशुंभ और रक्त बीज जैसे राक्षसों के विरुद्ध युद्ध में मां दुर्गा की सहायता की थी। माना जाता है देवी दुर्गा ने स्वयं मातृकाओं की रचना की थी। इनमें से 7 देवी शक्तियों को संबंधित देवी का ही स्त्री रूप माना जाता है। 8वीं मातृका स्वयं मां काली को माना जाता है। हर एक माता की सहायक 8 शक्तियां हैं, इसलिए इनकी संख्या 64 हो जाती है। योगिनी के 64 चित्रों की श्रृंखला एक कलात्मक और आध्यात्मिक अनुभव है, जो चेतना को जगाती है और दिव्यता के साथ संबंध को मजबूत करती है। इतिहास की इस कड़ी में हम अलौकिक शक्तियों के संपन्न इन योगिनियों के विभिन्न रूपों और गुणों की चर्चा करेंगे।
Namaste, Veena ji.
Namaste.
Welcome. Thank you for rejoining us.
Thank you, sir.
We did not talk about the paintings in the last episode. How did you get into painting the 64 yoginis? I know you've told us earlier that you painted some Tantra motif based paintings, you painted Ardhanarishwar, you copied initially some of Raja Ravi Varma paintings, but particularly 64 yoginis. How did you get into this?
That's what I was telling last episode, that it started with a book gifted by my mentor on Sri Vidya, which took me to Ardhanarishwara, then from there to Bhairava, and there to the 64 yoginis. So the decision of making yogini paintings was, it's an intuitive calling. While starting also, I never knew that will I be completing it. It was an open journey for me. In fact, the whole yogini journey is an open journey. So today sitting with you also was never planned for me. It is her call. I was moving on her master plan, sir. So I was part of her master plan. So that is how I started painting yoginis.
So, which is the first painting of the 64 yoginis you painted? Was the first one Chandi? Chandi is a name that is familiar to most people, sir, although not necessarily always identified as a yogini.
Sir.
So was Chandi the first one?
So it was the first one we painted, but I would like to say that when I wanted to do yoginis paintings, I referred a few books. So there are different lists of 64
That's
yoginis.
Correct. That's correct.
So I felt the Hirapur Yogini sounded very similar, familiar to me. So then I said, okay, let me take this as my base. So that is how I started. First, Chandi was my first painting.
So tell us a little bit about the Chandi painting. You told me earlier that when the process of painting happens, it's almost as if you get possessed,
Yes.
and you cannot stop until you have actually finished that painting. So describe Chandi and describe the process a little bit.
So, first of all, to know the attribute of the goddesses, you need to have knowledge. So, I feel my ignorance was my strength. I could paint anything that
Without
came-
any preconceived notion
Yes,
about what
yes.
the iconography should be like.
or it has to be like that. It has to be maintained. That was not at all there. So ignorance was my power, and the trust that yes, there is a connection and I am on a path was my second strength. So when I kept Chandi, Hirapur Chandi stands on a corpse. So थोड़ा सा डर लग गया corpse के ऊपर painting करने के लिए. It is like the fear of death. Corpse matlab we'll connect it to that. So that particular painting, I felt I have conquered that particular fear, the first fear, which is around Yogini structures. Gilat kiya to kuch ho jayega types. So that I conquered there, and I just meditated. I really didn't know what I am painting. I just prayed to her that please come to my canvas in the form which I will love you. I don't want any fearful form of yours. And she just emerged beautifully. And I didn't painted the corpse, but there are later I have painted also. But that feel, she was absolutely beautifully immersed. And somebody after my first painting, how will you, I always wanted to relate whether I am on the right path. The question of somewhere as a human being, the doubt factors remains. So I spoke to somebody after 3-4 days, which is that person was based out of Kerala, was asking me, he's an astrologer basically. My mother has gone to meet him. So then that person asked that, have you done a Chandi Homa? Which must be very coincidence. But for me, it was saying that the energy I have touched was Chandi.
Did you do the Chandi Home after
No,
that?
no,
Okay.
yet to do.
So the viewer can see this painting of
yes.
Chandi that you have done. Is there any particular aspect of this painting you would like to draw the viewer's attention towards?
Which I liked more in this goddess. This was the painting which I put what I want to follow. I wanted to bring that energy through her eyes, and I believed hair is a point where the energy can be distributed. Means you can see the power of a woman in her hair. So that was one second step. And I have moon in all the paintings because there are times goddesses have moon on their head.
Yes.
But I had moon because it was a representation of my Shiva. And I had a snake in all the paintings because for me it was Rahu Dasha. So I had Rahu as my guide. So these 4 elements, you have it in all my paintings.
And they run through the paintings.
Run
And
through the
across all the
paintings.
paintings,
All the
the
paintings.
eyes I have always found to be a very
Yes,
striking feature in all
Yes,
of your
because
paintings.
I feel that is how you can express. No, so the rest, till the time she speaks to you, you don't feel the power. So eyes was the important thing, and I painted eyes first. All the artists will draw eyes last, but I paint. Then once the eyes are in place, then I think okay, she's there. The rest will come in place.
So the eyes, the
hair, and I have the moon and the snake.
And the snake, the two aspects of
Sarpa.
Shiva. Which is your second most favorite painting, or which is the second painting you want to talk about? Favorite is the wrong word to use.
Narmada, sir. Narmada.
Narmada?
Yes.
Okay. So tell us about Narmada.
Why Narmada is, while starting Narmada, I could feel the clay in my hand. I should feel, I'm touching the water. I had that feeling all around the paintings. And if somebody asks me which painting you are doing, because my friends knew I'm on this process, I'll forget her name. And I'll say, why? How can I not know what am I painting? So that's like a big question. And I was thinking must be because, I'm on a wrong side, it was a lot of question comes. Then later when I read about her, I realized that Narmada's story says that she was very beautiful and a lot of people wanted to marry her. And so she keep hiding to run away from all this people who wanted to marry. So she's known for her hiding character, which I could see throughout my paintings. I'll absolutely forget her name. And I don't know whom I'm painting, which was giving me direction, yes, I am painting her. So that was a beautiful painting and she's one of the most beautiful goddesses because I felt her in my hand. I could feel the clay, I could feel the flavor of the mud. And that was accomplished when I have seen her actually when I went to Narmada in Bairagat. And I could really see her there.
I want to repeat what you said, that the names are not consistently given. And you have essentially followed the Hirapur listing of names, but the 64 Yogini names may be different in different
There
places.
are different, like Agni Purana, Skanda Purana, all talks
all
about
different.
different names.
Yes.
And for me, even though I started with Hirapur, but later as it grew, as it painted, things didn't follow in that route also. But then I left it open. Whomever wants to come in front of me, I encountered, I painted them.
We have talked about Chandi and Narmada. Which is the next one you want to mention?
Next one I will talk about, want to show Varuni, sir.
Varuni.
Yes.
Okay. So tell us about Varuni.
She is the most beautiful goddesses, and Varuni is, it is known as Sura also because she is the one who has come up during
the goddess of liquor also.
Yeah, liquor also. And and they say Asura is known as Asura because she refused to take except Sura. So she, after painting her,
so the Asuras are the antithesis of the
Yes.
Suras.
Yes.
The Suras accepted the liquor
Yes, yes.
when it came out of the churning of the ocean, and the
yes.
Asuras refused it, and hence
them.
they became Asuras.
Hence they are the one who has refused Sura is
Yes.
known as
Okay.
Asura.
So tell us about Varuni.
She, after when you get reflections from others, that is where you started. It is giving you strength. It gives you strength to say that yes, you are on the right path. After making Sura, I had somebody. I had an occasion at my house, so I had a lot of people coming and saying nobody knows about her. Nothing. She's so intoxicating. I've got like the typical word intoxicating from several people. There was a cousin of mine whom he was the only person I will share the painting. After, he does not know anything about yoginis. After doing, I'll send that photograph to him and I'll ask him he's a very religious, pious person. I'll ask him, what is this? So he immediately says, she's very intoxicating. So that alcohol or the spirit, or we say how she came out, was there around. So I feel and she has come beautifully. So how she has come out from the sea, I have painted her like that, as if she's coming out the sea with the Sura in her hand.
And Varuna is of course.
Varuna, of course, is married her.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Lord Varuna married her.
Which is the next one?
It's a Kali.
Kali.
Yes.
Okay. So, any particular aspect of Kali you want to mention?
Why I wanted to make Kali because I'm from a totally South Kerala based girl. Our family temple, my family temple is also Kali, but we don't practice do such pujas in our side like how you do it in West Bengal. And Kali always attracted me, and I used to go to all these temples before of Kali after coming to the northern part to live after my marriage. Kali always attracted me, and that was the first painting form which I was mentally attached and I wanted to paint. And the energy after doing Kali was unbelievable. The power which I felt, the one which has passed through, that feeling is something which somebody has to go through to understand such things happens in you. Something happens. I felt, people around me could feel her in me, while they talk to me, they can find the energy. And Kali has given an immense experience like that, and she sits on Shiva, with the pleasureless form, and she's so pretty. I started understanding these forms are just forms for using for that particular occasion, for that Kali's energy was required for something, so that energy has emerged. But they are still so beautiful and pretty, and so how to look at God or how to look at them is Kali has taught me. That was a life-changing process for me, and she literally played an important role in my painting the next form, Bala Tripura Sundari. After painting Kali,
Bala Tripura Sundari is the one who is in Lalita Sahasranama,
Yes.
Lalita Mahatma.
that is where I said it deviated from the Hirapur again.
Yes.
After making Kali, somebody told me, her presence is there with you, which has given me a fear in me. How are you going to satisfy her? The question was that. I don't practice, I don't do puja, so I really thought, how am I going to do this? So the first Hirapur temple, I met somebody from Malaysia who was there as a visitor. When I was sitting in front of goddesses, he said that what you're painting is right. And he never knew that I'm an artist. My question was, am I right on the right path? That was my question. I was in touch with that person. That person came down from Malaysia and given me a book on Bala. And that was there in the Almara. I never looked at it. When this person said that you have a presence of Kali near you, I had a lot fear, and I started losing that energy of painting because fear cropped in. Then I called this person and he said, Veena, you could never make out, it was the child's energy with you.
Bala is, of course, young child.
Because people do upasana for years to see a goddess. Wherein for me it was 1 month journey, then the next painting, then the next painting. It is like that. So giving the goddesses, giving the space for the next goddesses never happens when as a real upasaka, because then goddesses also will get attached with the upasaka and they don't want to leave that space. So they said there's some energy near you which is allowing the other person to come in. So then I realized it is Bala, because Bala is a goddess which everybody will listen to. She's a child. When the child at home, when they ask for something, so they are giving space, I felt. And painting Bala was an experience. After seeing painting Bala, before painting Bala, I went to Nemili. There's a temple in south, which is Bala, where she is only in the size of a little finger. Very powerful goddesses. After coming, I literally saw her and I painted exactly how I have seen her.
Tripura Sundari is sometimes described as Soroshi, 16 years old. So in your painting,
she must be around 10, 11 years.
Sir. So more Bala.
More Bala. More of a child, sir.
Okay. So
and from that day onwards, she's there with me.
She's there with you always.
I started building that energy in, and she has become part of my life. She has changed my life. She has changed life for a lot of people around me.
Which is the next one that you want to talk about after Bala Tripura Sundari?
Gauri.
Gauri.
Yes.
Okay. So Gauri is normally taken to mean someone who's fair,
yes,
as
yes,
opposed to
yes,
Kali.
Because as she, I think Parvati was darker, and Shiva, she had that complex of being dark. So I think Shiva has made fun of her darkness. So she has taken fast to become fairer, and she's Gauri.
So describe the Gauri painting.
So some painting, you do painting and you forget it. You don't carry along. But Gauri travelled along with me till the time I finished my whole journey of the paintings or the temple visit, which was a realization that all these goddesses are different forms in you, and when you want to trigger them, they can get triggered. It is never one energy, but we believe in one and we go about it. So
because it's easier.
It's easier. But then I felt she was very strongly there in me, and that is the reason which I could feel others also. So that is how I am in love with Gauri.
Okay, so Gauri is still with you.
Still with me, yes.
After Gauri, which is the next one you want to mention?
So these, I'm not talking about these goddesses on a line or as
Yes,
per
yes,
the list. It's Vaishnavi, sir.
Vaishnavi, as in Vishnu's Shakti.
Yes,
that
Vishnu
Vaishnavi.
Shakti. Yeah.
Okay.
Actually, people think Vaishnavi means Vishnu's wife. It is not actually not like that. Vishnu has given his power to that goddesses to Parvati to do a certain karma. They are still the wife of Bhairava only. Why Vaishnavi is, I was stuck when I painted Vaishnavi. I just stuck. I just couldn't paint. Nothing was coming to my canvas. So I was a little worried, why this stop. Then I went to Guruvayur temple in Kerala. I entered the temple and unbelievably no rush. And I was made to stand in the front. He said, "Chalo, aap dekh lo." Because Guruvayur mein nahi hota, sir. Whomever it is, they'll ask you to move.
Immediately they'll...
But that person told me, you stand there, no problem. Which was a surprise. I didn't go for any, their recommendation doesn't work out there. When I'm standing there, I'm seeing a lady standing near me, looking up and talking about some mantra. She was spelling out some mantra. Had Vaishnavi 10-15 times in that. And she was praying, seeing the Gopuram. So I just looked at, and she had a piercing look on. She just looked at my face, very sharp. And when I took the round of the temple, in different places I have seen her, as if she was following. And the last temple inside Guruvayur temple is a goddesses. So when you stand there, I'm just praying, why am I seeing her? She is Vaishnavi. And I said, if it's she, I'm just asking, it is a question to myself, I should see her now. And I'm turning back, she's sitting opposite on a meditative pose and just giving me sharp look as I've seen. And I've just painted her. So my painting is exact copy of what I have seen.
What you have seen.
Yes. So she's an important painting for me.
You have 64 paintings of 64 yoginis. We don't have the time to show the viewer all of these. So we deliberately decided to pick 8. We've talked about 7. Which is the 8th one you want to mention? Tell us about Mahamaya.
Mahamaya in Hirapur, when I was doing, she sits on the center. So I was thinking 1, 2, 3, 4, I had a count, a small book which I followed. When the center I reached, then I realized Mahamaya sits in the center.
The book about Hirapur.
Hirapur,
yes,
small thin book.
Yes.
Then I went to Adi Shakti Peeth temple. All the temples I went, I came there. And I was sitting and praying to the goddesses in front. Then a person cannot cross. So the Panditji was doing puja and he came near me. Then I said, "मैं उठ जाता हूँ, आप cross करिए." He said, "नहीं, आप बैठिए, मैं 64 से शुरू करता हूँ." That was an answer which I went in search for. Then I painted from 64. I wanted to paint Mahamaya after understanding the 64, other 63, because I wanted to get that energy to paint her. And if she doesn't come out well, my whole process is not. So I've done an 11 days fast. The last painting, I went to 11 people whom I don't know, took money from them to buy the canvas and all, because I really didn't want to own them as mine, as my money.
Part of getting rid of the ego also.
Ego also. And all these paintings are not signed on my name. I've signed on Sri Bala's name. It is my Bala Tripura Sundari who have painted. I was just a tool in her hand. So I completed it. I took money from people whom I don't know, where I was killing my ego and going and asking people that I want to paint and I need money. So whomever has given me money, with that money I bought the canvas and painted. And I took 11 days Mauna, sir. Absolute Mauna inside a room. Most beautiful time of my life. Silence could give bliss. That's what I've learned.
Yes.
And that silence is there in her. And that goddess is, from all the 4 directions you look at her, she looks. That painting has come out like that. Her eyes moves. And she was ultimate. And giving me answer for my journey.
Binaji, I'm sure you realize that what you have done and what you're proposing to do is also an enormous intellectual contribution in terms of understanding a cult, and I'm using the word cult deliberately, a cult that has been ignored, misunderstood, little researched, little documented the Yogini cult. Thank you, Beena ji,
Thank you so
for
much, sir.
doing this. Thank you for joining us.
Sir, I would like to
this
say that
episode of Itihasa. Yes.
I would like to say that this is my first step of dissemination to telling the world, and a person like you, through you, that was designed by her, is an absolute bliss, and it is something above what I can even expect. This is because once I finished my painting, my question was this: who is going to see you? I didn't have a prayer for, I didn't have anything for myself. Who is going to? So this is the answer, sir. Who is going to see them?
So both of us, we
Thank you so
thank
much.
Bala.
Yes, sir.
Bala isn't just a name. Both of us thank the divinity,
Sir.
whoever happens to be our individual divinity.
Sir.
But thank you once
Thank you,
again
sir. Thank you.
as an instrument
Thank
for
you so
doing
much,
this
sir.
for us.
Thank you.
I hope you enjoyed this episode where the guest was Beena Unnikrishnan. We learnt quite a bit about yoginis. Please continue to watch Itihasa on Sansad TV. Namaste.
उत्तरं यत्समुद्रस्य हिमाद्रश्चैव दक्षिणं वर्षं तद् भारतं नाम भारतीयत्र सन्तति